Got the red shirt on, Whack an Atheist Wednesday. Got a good one to whack tonight. Charlie Darwin. I think you'll be surprised by what you hear about this fellow tonight. Okay, we got some new series that are done finally. I did a series on God's amazing creation that destroys evolution. This is A, B, and C, all on this series. How many hours is this total, brother? Talk about the seahorse, the cerebellum, the celery, cockroaches and chloroplasts, carbon, bears and blackberries. I had a blast doing this series. There's a lot of good stuff in there. I may be a little prejudiced, but how much is this? $50 for the whole series, and it's how many hours would you guess?
I think it's about 10 and a half.
10 and a half hours. Get these for friends that don't believe in, anybody you want. And that's A, B, and C. We don't do the whole alphabet. Then we have D, E, F here. The second series available. They're on their YouTube, on our website, drdiner.com. And the book that I wrote, Why on Earth Did God Let This Happen? This is book 2, finally, right? Book 2, finally available on DVD. If you want to get that, also $50 if you want, or get on our website for that. Okay, so we're on all kinds of channels. We think God ought to get the glory for his creation. We're on Rumble, we're on Genesis Baptist Church on YouTube, on Odyssey, and a whole bunch of other places. Now, we are still having trouble getting internet, as you folks that watch our show well know. If you'd like to help, really seriously help, we can get Starlink tomorrow. It's $2,700. That's about $2,800 more than we have right now, due to our problem last 3 months with our. Never mind. Anyway, so if you'd like to help, contact 855 Big Dino extension 1 or 0. Or anybody but me, okay? Because I don't know about that. But let's see. You can get Starlink that'll cover the whole globe for only $10,000 a month. Look at that. Elon Musk is advertising that one. A gigabyte per second. How much is that, brother? That's pretty good. I don't understand all that. Anyway, if you want to help us, $2,700 installation. That will mean we won't get much better signal. We used one here for a while, Chris's, and it was great. So that's what we need, we think. If you want to help with that, please do. Okay, tonight, 21st, boot camp. Had some great speakers. We'll have the whole series that we did of all the boot camp speakers available in a package also. Probably, next week? Yeah. Well, you got to go to North Carolina.
Yeah.
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow or
Okay.
Friday.
All right. So whenever he gets it done, it'll be up there. Come join us. Whack an Atheist Wednesday. Whack an Atheist is a fun game we play here at DAL. It's based on the whack-a-mole game. Tonight, we're going to whack Charlie. Got his name on him right there. Somebody gave me the great idea, have a little mole stick up through here with different names on it. That was you, Billy? Good idea. Good enough, we probably should find him a wife. Do you think we should find him a... No? You're looking for a smart one. If you get a smart one, your kids have a 50-50 chance of being normal. Okay, let's see. Based on the whack-a-mole game. Whack-a-mole game, object is to wait till the mole sticks his head up and then whack him back down. These atheists stick their head up and say the dumbest things, like we came from a rock. Of course, they don't believe that, but they do believe that. They don't say they believe it. It's fun, it's fast. Stick their head up, whack them back down as fast as you can. Even small children can learn to play whack-a-mole, and we love whack-a-mole. Old adults love it too. With Whack an Atheist, we wait for an atheist to stick his head up, make a silly claim that his evolution religion is true, and then swiftly whack him back down into real science, in Christian love, of course. We've whacked lots of atheists. Are we going to do a whole series of DVDs on just Whack an Atheist? That would help a lot of people. See, if things happen like the New World Order folks want, you're going to have to give it a microchip to even get internet. If you want to watch DVDs, they can't stop that. That might be the way to preserve stuff. But anyway, we've done a whole bunch of atheists on this whack-a-mole. The evolution's a religion. Some are hard-headed, must be whacked over and over again. Even then, they just don't get it. They keep sticking their head up, making silly claims. I taught high schoolers math and science 15 years. I'm used to hard-headed kids, okay? I really enjoy whack-a-mole too. So tonight, the winner is Charles Robert Darwin, born 1809, died 1882. English naturalist whose scientific theory of evolution by natural selection became the foundation of modern evolutionary studies. Wait a minute. He was a naturalist. What are the qualifications to become a naturalist? I don't know, so I looked it up. A naturalist is any person who studies the natural world. How many of you are naturalists? You study the natural world? Everybody? Okay. Naturalists make observations of the relationship between organisms and their environments. Yeah. See, like the fish like to live in the water. Mm-hmm. The birds like to be able to fly in the air. That's their environment. As well as how those relationships change over time. Now, I don't know if that needs to be involved there. One of the most well-known naturalists, anybody who studies nature, okay. One of the most well-known examples is Charles Darwin. Really. Charles Darwin, born 1809, was a naturalist. He's the foundation of modern evolutionary studies. Okay. How did he get to be called a geologist and biologist? It says here on Wikipedia, he was an English naturalist, geologist, and biologist. Why? He didn't have any degrees in any of those fields. Is it okay to be called a biologist if you don't have a degree in it, guys? Atheists? Come on now. Come on. Charles Darwin. His grandfather was Erasmus Darwin, well known at the time as a scientist with unusual ideas. Really. Darwin's first few years in school, he went to Shrewsbury, where most of the lessons were in Latin. Darwin did not do very well. He later wrote, "I believe that I was considered by all my masters and by my father as a very ordinary boy, rather below common intelligence." I couldn't agree more, Charlie. Who was his grandpa? Erasmus Darwin. Well, let's see. He had a stammer when he talked, which is no big deal. He was known as a charming kind of attractive to the ladies. He was married twice and took at least one mistress after the death of his first wife. He had 12 legitimate children and 2 known illegitimate daughters. Okay. Darwin's father wanted him to become a doctor. In 1825, so he would have been, 17 years old, right? Darwin started going to Edinburgh Medical School. However, he left after only 2 years in 1827 because he was bored by the lectures and could not stand to watch the surgery, which at that time was done with no painkiller. There, everybody hold this guy down. We got to pull this arrow out. Yeah, okay. After Darwin gave up medicine, his father arranged for him to study to become a priest. 1828, he went to Cambridge to study for priesthood, earning a Bachelor of Arts degree at Cambridge in 1831. So the only degree he got was to be a priest. That's the only degree he got. But you guys call him a naturalist and a biologist and a geologist and a scientist? Come on now, let's be fair. Okay, let's see. 23 years old when he became a priest. But now he's qualified to teach about science. Okay. When Darwin was 9 years old, Charles Darwin went to Shrewsbury School for boys. When he was 13 years old, he set up a science lab in his garden. Oh, he's a scientist, folks. He's a 13-year-old working in a garden. That makes him qualified to be a scientist. Don't your kids, brother, work in the farm and in the barn? How old's your youngest? 8? He's a scientist, brother. Yeah. My daughter Lydia helps over there. She's 11. She's a scientist too. How many of you have ever helped in the barn or in the, look at this. We got a whole room full of scientists here. Come on down, guys. Okay. Charlie Darwin saw the evolution on the Galapagos Islands. These islands out there in the Pacific off the coast of South America. Okay. Let's see. 1831, HMS Beagle sailed from England to survey the coast of South America. On board the ship's unpaid naturalist was Charles Darwin, 22-year-old who had graduated from Cambridge University. They don't say to be a priest. Why did you leave that out in the textbook here, guy? So a young preacher, 22 years old, is going to sail around for 5 years with no pay. You know why? He couldn't get a job anywhere, and his dad didn't want to feed him. He said, Charlie, they'll take you on this boat. They'll feed you. Go on them. Go with the boat. Okay? A friend did it as a favor. During his 5 years at sea, he would eventually change the way we think of ourselves and our world. The son of a wealthy doctor, Darwin was not an attentive student. I had some of those when I taught. Okay? Let's see. Spending more time outdoor than in school. As a medical student at Edinburgh, he was horrified by operations, which were performed without anesthesia. For 2 years, he skipped the lectures to spend time collecting biological specimens. Come on now, guys, tell the whole story. He went around collecting bugs. Okay, he was a bug collector. Biological specimens. Okay. In desperation, his father sent him to Cambridge University to train to be a minister. His dad said, Charlie, you don't like to work, you're a lazy bum, you're below average intelligence. Let's send you off to Cambridge and you can be a preacher. That way the Church of England will take care of you. This is Charlie, okay? After graduating from Cambridge, he was recommended by one of his professors for the position on the Beagle. That's the name of the ship. Recommended, Charlie, you need to sail around for 5 years. They're not going to pay you nothing, but they will feed you. Best job offer he had. Yeah. Following the voyage from the Beagle, he ended up believing in evolution. Charlie did not see any evidence of evolution on the Galapagos Islands or anywhere else. Nobody's ever seen any evidence for evolution. None. There isn't any. Darwinism is a theory of biological evolution developed by the English naturalist Charlie Darwin. This is from Wikipedia, okay? Stating that all species of organisms arise and develop through the natural selection of small inherited variations. I agree with that. That increase the individual's ability to compete, survive, and reproduce. I agree. Does that prove they can change to an amoeba, to a mosquito, and a whale? The theory of evolution by natural selection, first formulated in Darwin's book On the Origin of Species, 1859, is the process by which organisms change over time. I would agree with that, but there's limits to the change. That's the part they leave out. They're limited. As a result of changes in heritable physical or behavioral characteristics. Changes that allow an organism to better adapt to its environment will help it survive and have more offspring. Okay? Darwin's revolutionary theory was that new species arise naturally as a process of evolution rather than having been created forever immutable by God. See what happened in Darwin's time? He noticed there are variations of beetles and variations of finches. And some of the overzealous Christians said, oh, God made them bring forth after their kind. There can be no change. They took it too far. Sure, there's changes, but there's limits to the change. Farmers have been trying to get more milk out of a cow for a long time, haven't they? They selectively breed for the ones that give the most milk. Last I heard, I got a picture of it, I should have brought it in here, 185 pounds of milk a day, one cow. It can hardly walk, okay? You got to bring it alive in the woods. So they have, the changes do happen. They've been selectively breeding dogs till they got as dumb a one as they could, the pug. Waiting outside that door for me right now. Tongue hanging out the side. Completely retarded. Okay. According to the well-established creationist theory of Darwin's day, right, the creationists in his day did take it too far. They said if there's 14 kinds of finches, God made 14 kinds of finches. No, guys, he made the finch and they brought forth after their kind, and there could be variations within that kind. The exquisite adaptations of many species, such as the hinges of bivalve shell and the wings and plumes of seeds dispersed by air, were compelling evidence that a designer had created each species for its intended place in the economy of nature. Darwin had wholeheartedly accepted this theory, which was bolstered or supported by the biblical account in Genesis until the Galapagos Islands. Charlie loved worms, and he hated birds because they ate worms. So he shot all the birds he could find so they wouldn't eat the worms anymore. He collected a whole bunch of birds. Charlie Darwin, age 22, fresh out of school to be a preacher, set sail on HMS Beagle in 1831. Somebody gave him a book to bring with him. Charlie, you're going to be sailing for 5 years. Bring some books. He brought his Bible. He also brought this book right here, Principles of Geology by Charles Lyell. Book 1, book 3, I don't know where my book 2 is. It's in here somewhere. 3-volume set written by Charles Lyell. Well, Reverend John Henslow gave it to him. He said, Charlie, read this book, but don't believe it. Didn't work. Charlie fell for it. Charlie Lyell's book changed his life and millions more around the world forever. This book started the ball rolling. In this book, Charles Lyell, building on the work of James Hutton and others, developed a theory called uniformitarianism. The way things are happening today is the way they've always been happening. Long, slow, gradual changes. Of course, that doesn't allow for any catastrophes like a flood. See? Then Charles Lyell is given the most credit for advancing uniformitarianism. Lyell's Principles of Geology, name of the book, okay? Principles of Geology. The laws of nature equal constant over time. You got to have billions of years, okay? Charles Lyell was a Scottish lawyer and a scoffer who hated the Bible. Someone calculated one time, if all the atheists, scoffers, and lawyers in the world were laid end to end around the equator, it would be a good thing for the planet. Now, Charles Lyell, brother, we got to do YouTube shorts just on all my jokes. My wife's writing a joke book on that. We can just do 1 minute joke. I can go for days. All the one-liners. Okay. Charles Lyell published his book where he invented one of the biggest and dumbest lies in the history of the world. In this book, Charles Lyell is the primary culprit in all this. He invented what we call today the geologic column. He claimed the layers of the earth were different ages. Charlie, if the top layer is younger, where is it coming from? Outer space? All the layers are the same age. We'll do it again for you atheists. Maybe one of you might get it one day. Now watch carefully. When I flip this over, it will start making layers. When we're all done, is the top layer younger? They're all in the glass at the same time. If I shuffle a deck of cards, is the top card younger? Come on now. What's the youngest card in the deck? Oh, Queen of Hearts. Yeah. The geologic column does not exist, okay? Let's see. Scoffer Lyell thought he was smart, and anyone who disagreed with him was inferior. He said in his book, page 302, men of superior talent, talking about himself, who thought for themselves and were not blinded by authority, slap at the Bible, page 30. He talked about false conclusions, futile reasoning, ancient doctrines, he's referring to the Bible, sanctioned by the implicit faith of many generations, and supposed to rest on scriptural authority. He said on page 41, he remarked how much the interest of religion, as well as those of sound philosophy, had suffered by perpetually mixing up sacred writings with questions in physical science. What's he saying here? We got to separate the Bible from science. This is where it started, folks, 1830. He reasoned philosophically against those who regarded the disordered state of Earth's crust, what does that mean? All the layers of the earth, the canyons, etc., as exhibiting signs of the wrath of God for the sins of man. That's code word for the flood. Up until this time, everybody studied the earth like they do now. They studied the layers, studied the canyons, studied the fault lines, and they concluded, wow, there was a flood. Lyell said, oh no, this wasn't caused by the flood. This is caused by millions of years. He said you have a religious prejudice. Let's see. There is no geologic column. This fictitious column that they teach was made up by Charles Lyell and a few others and had a profound effect on Darwin. That geologic column is the Bible for the atheist. Guys, listen carefully. The layers are not different ages. Where's all this new material coming from? Come on now, outer space. This fictitious geologic column guides their thinking. They even talk and think that way. Well, back during the Cretaceous and during the Cenozoic and during the Mesozoic, it doesn't exist, guys. Give it up. It's vaporware. This is how they look at life, how they look at the world, and how they look at history. Look, if you shake up a jar with water and mud till it separates, is the top layer younger? No, they're all the same age. The flood did this. How can the top layer be younger? This geologic column doesn't exist. All over the world, petrified trees are found standing up through the layers. How long does a dead tree stand around? Rex, those two we took down yesterday back there, they've been probably dead for less than a year. Yeah. All the layers of the geologic column formed in 1 year during Noah's flood with tidal changes. When the tide's coming up, the water's coming in. How fast it comes in is determined by your latitude. At the North Pole, it's 0. At the equator, it's 1,037.6, 1,038.6, depending on your altitude, okay? At Lenox, Alabama, 31 degrees north, we're turning 886 miles an hour right here, right now. So if the tidal bump is coming up, the water's coming in from one side at least at the speed the earth is turning the other way. You get the water moving 900 miles an hour. That's going to make all the layers quickly, not slowly over millions of years. See my video number 6 for more on that. All over the world, petrified trees are found standing up through all these layers. Guys, Yellowstone's got one. They had to fence it off finally because people kept breaking pieces off of it. Petrified trees, they're all over the world. Thousands of them, not just a few. It's a fact the earth has layers of sedimentary rock. Nobody's going to argue about that. The evolutionists say, oh, these layers form slowly over millions of years. The Christians say, no, these layers are all from the flood of Noah. And the evolutionists have very successfully tried to erase that line and make everybody think that their theory, their interpretation is the truth. No, it's not part of the fact. It's a fact the earth has layers. It is not a fact there are different ages. Geologic column is the Bible for the evolution. It's only found one place in the world, and that's the textbook. This author said, if there were a column of sediments, unfortunately, no such column exists. There's no geologic column. There's a bunch of layers. That's all. If it existed, it'd be 100 miles thick. Okay. Charlie said in a letter he wrote to Russell Wallace in 1868. So he came back from the voyage on the Beagle, 1835 or 6. Okay. Then he wrote his book in 1859. Here's his book. Now, remember, he went to school to be a preacher. He said, disbelief crept over me at a very slow rate, but was at last complete. The rate was so slow I felt no distress, and have never since doubted, even for a single second, that my conclusion was correct. I can indeed hardly see how anyone ought to wish Christianity to be true. For if so, the plain language of the text seems to show that men who do not believe, and this would include my father, brother, and all my best friends, will be everlastingly punished. This doctrine is damnable. Well, Charlie, that's what the book says. Yep. Charlie Lyell wrote the book, Principles of Geology. Charles Darwin took it with him on the Beagle. Read it, I don't know how many times, 5-year voyage. He wrote this dedication when Charlie wrote his book, The Origin of Species, right here. Origin of Species, Charlie Darwin. It's a different cover than they have on the picture here, but the same book. He wrote in the dedication, that I dedicate this book to Charles Lyell. This second edition is dedicated with grateful pleasure as an acknowledgement that the chief part of whatever scientific merit this journal and other works of the author may possess has been derived from the study the well-known and admirable principles of geology. So Darwin said, I have to give credit to Charlie Lyell. He is the one who influenced me. Darwin sailed around the world on this boat, stopped off at the Galapagos Islands right there, spent quite a bit of time there. They traveled around the islands. He shot all the birds he could find, saved the worms, you know. And Charlie said there are 14 varieties of finches on these islands. Some have a heavy beak, some have a skinny beak. I would agree, Charlie. It has to do with the food available on that island. Some islands, the only food available was nuts that are kind of hard to crack. So if you don't have a big, strong beak, you can't crack the nut and you can't eat, so you either move to a different island or you die. So what he found was natural selection works. It selects, it doesn't create anything. It's still a bird, it's still a beak. It's the food supply is selecting, that's all. The Grants went back there and did a study. They studied Rosemary Grant, said during dry years, the beak of the finch is bigger, heavier. By, what is this? How much heavier? Let's see. In millimeters. The whole chart is 1 millimeter. So let's see. 1, 2, 3. 2/10 of a millimeter thicker. How much is 2/10 of a millimeter? Not too much. During wet years, the beaks are thinner. Oh, I guess they can, different seeds survive. Peter and Rosemary Grant did a long-term study, government funded, of course, demonstrating evolution in action on the Galapagos finches. They demonstrated how rapid changes in body and beak size in response to changes in the food supply are driven by natural selection. Peter, nobody's arguing that natural selection works, but it's limited and it's only selecting. You want to take this natural selection process and turn it into a creative process. It's not. Natural selection selects. If you selected all the fastest racehorses in the world, how long would it take till they grow wings? He's not creating anything. Let's see. How many types of finches are there? 228 types of finches? Whoa. I bet they had a common ancestor, a bird. Darwin counted 14 varieties of finches, and they probably had a common ancestor. Charlie, you are right. It was a bird. So Charles Lyell wrote his book in 1830, The Biggest and Dumbest Lie in the History of the World, about the geologic column. Charlie Darwin came along, read the book, a bunch of times, I assume, and then he wrote his book, 1859. He sees the finches and says, wow, this proves frogs are related to bananas and whales and finches. Huh? No, Charlie. You saw 14 kinds of finches. That is science. To say they're related to birds and whales and make up these dumb charts that they make up, these family trees, that's not science. Charlie Darwin wrote his book, 1859. He said, it's a truly wonderful fact that all animals and all plants throughout all time and space should be related to each other. Isn't he saying the frogs and the mosquitoes and the pine trees are related? Isn't he? Come on. That's exactly what he said. For the next 167 years, students worldwide are taught these two dumb theories, they're not even theories, these dumb religions, as if it's part of science, and gullible people believe it. Let's see. Stupid lies. There is no geologic column, and the changes are limited. But we got them believing they're related to, let's see, a bee, a monkey, a rat, a banana, a fish, a strawberry. Oh, let's see, Professor, let's see, P.Z. Myers is a fish. Still is right now. Ask him. Are you related to a fish? No, we are fish. Okay. Okay, P.Z. Professor Dave is a strawberry. I believe that one. Let's see. Charlie observed what's called microevolution. We should just call it variation. Calling it microevolution gives it what's called the free rider effect, as if it's part of science, right along with us. The rest of evolution comes with it. No, it doesn't. But anyway, dogs produce a variety of dogs. That's a fact. Roses produce a variety of roses. That's a fact. But that's where it stops. Still the same kind. Let's see. How many kinds? There are dozens of oak tree variations in North America. I agree. And they probably had a common ancestor called a tree. Let's see, 60 different species of oak trees in the United States. Wow, okay. Let's see, domesticated cow versus the wild cow. It says right here, the wild cow is the ancestor of all domesticated cattle. I wouldn't argue with that. Farmers select cows to get more milk, more beef, handle the heat better, handle the cold better. It's a cow. But they want to put the cow on here with birds. Because there are 400 kinds of cows, therefore cows are related to birds and came from an amoeba? This is not science. This is, guys, listen, look at me. This is stupid. Who taught you that? Slap them. This does not prove all the cows came from an amoeba millions of years ago. Oh yeah, cows came from an amoeba right there. And related to, what is that one? Frogs. I didn't know cows were related to frogs. Oh, and butterflies. It's easy to see the similarity between a cow and a butterfly. Just go look at them. They both have wings except for the cow. They both have 4 legs except for the butterfly. They both can fly except for the cow. I mean, a lot of similarities. Gee whiz. How can they not see it? Yep, there's the birds. What else? Oh, octopus. They're definitely close to a cow. Yeah. Both of them have 8 arms except for the cow. Okay. You guys need help. You atheists. I'm trying to help you. You don't know it, but I'm the best friend you've got. Let's see, 6 types of corn might have had a common ancestor. 200 varieties of wheat. Wow, they might have had a common ancestor. A wheat, okay? Let's see, 4,000 varieties of potatoes probably had a common ancestor. Butterfly. 195 varieties of chickens. How many kinds do we have? About 35? Yeah. 8 kinds of bears, 50 varieties of watermelon, 7,500 varieties of apples, 3,000 species of tomatoes. I accept that. You guys want to go way beyond that and think they're all related. 45 varieties of pumpkins. Man, oh man. 111 species of pine trees. 12,000 species of grass. Wow. 150 species of roses. 60 kinds of rats. 1,000 kinds of sharks and rays. Wow. 60 different kinds of eagles. So you could make a family tree of the eagles going back to an eagle. But you guys aren't happy with that. You want to extend it all the way back to an amoeba. See, outside that circle is science. Inside that circle is religion. And you guys cannot admit it. The Bible says they'll bring forth after their kind. The 60 kinds of eagles are, guess what? Still an eagle, right? After his kind, after their kind, after their kind. I mean, God's trying to get the message across where even some of you slow folks can get it. They bring forth after their kind, after their sort. Two of after their sort, after their kind, after his kind, after his kind. Birds of every sort. Let's see, every sort, every sort. And a 4-year-old can tell you if they're the same kind or not. Tell you what, line up a bunch of different varieties of cows and a frog. Ask the kid, ask a 4-year-old, which one doesn't belong in this group? But you scientists can't get it, can you? After their kind, after their kind. It's in there 24 times, I believe, first 7 chapters. The evolutionists agree that there are scores of varieties within the kind. But they assume that if we could let these go for billions of years, that would prove everything's related. One of the biggest lies in history is this stupid family tree. I'm not sure which is causing more damage, the dumb geologic column which doesn't exist or this stupid family tree. I take the position the Bible is 100% true. God said they bring forth after their kind. That's all anybody's ever seen. If you want to believe otherwise, you believe what you want, but keep your religion out of our public schools. I don't know if you saw the guy today, public school science teacher, came here, took the tour with me. When we got done, he said, I got to think about this. I gave him my videotapes, gave him a bunch of my books. Folks, there's a war going on. These are the guys that can help. God said, remember the Sabbath, keep it holy, for in 6 days he made heaven, earth, sea, and all that in them is, dinosaurs, everything. 6 days. Said it again a couple chapters later, 6 days. But the Bible said there would be scoffers who would come in the last days, and they would say, where's the promise of his coming? All things continue as they were. For this they willingly are ignorant of. How the earth and the heavens, how God made the heavens, the earth was in the water and out of the water. We cover all that on video number 1 and 2 of my series, about what was that original creation like. And then they're ignorant how the world was overflowed with water, and it perished. It was destroyed by a flood. And they're ignorant of the coming judgment of God. Read 2 Peter chapter 3. 3 things they are ignorant of. Let's see. They're ignorant of the creation, the flood, and the coming judgment of God. They don't want to believe in those. Okay, do what you want. Jesus is coming. Boy, is he mad. Coming soon to a city near you. So the scoffers are ignorant. Video number 2, seminar part 2, we talk a lot about it's here somewhere, about the creation. Why did they live to be 900 years old? What was different back then? Increased oxygen, increased air pressure, perfect genetic code, perfect diet, etc. Get the whole series, $50. I recommend, of course I recommend it. I did it, but it's good. Okay, let's see. Seminar part 6, we talk about the days of Noah and the flood. What would a flood do to the world? Grand Canyon probably formed in a week, not millions of years. Our canyon here at Dinosaur Adventureland took 7 minutes. Theirs is bigger than ours, so I'll give them 7 days. I'll give them 7 months. I'll give them 7 years, but not millions. 6 days, God made it all. Someday you're going to stand before God. He's going to say, I told you I made it in 6 days. My book clearly shows that was about 6,000 years ago. If you add up all the dates in the Bible, that's what you're going to get, like everybody else gets, about 4,000 BC. Add them up. Get my charts. A lot of people have done that. The scoffers are walking after their lust, and they're willingly ignorant of the creation and the flood and the coming judgment. God's going to say to some of you, do you think your little scientists were smarter than me? It ain't going to go well when you get before the judge, I can tell you. He's going to say, depart from me, you that work iniquity. See, God's not willing that any should perish. He wants you to come to heaven. If you died today, where would you spend eternity? Is it possible to die today? Have you seen the way they drive in Alabama? How many have ridden with me? Yeah, okay. All you get in this life is a little dash between 2 dates. What are you doing with it? I'd recommend you use it for God. Charles Lyell used his 79-year dash to make people doubt the flood. That's what he did. He turned billions of people away from God and is still turning them away today with that stupid geologic column which does not exist anywhere. Charles Darwin used his 73-year dash to make people doubt the fact that plants and animals only bring forth after their kind, like God said. He made people doubt God's word. And he's still turning people away from the grave, still turning them away. Wayne Strickland was proud of himself. I'm an atheist. I'm a busy man. Don't have time for this. How you doing now, Wayne? Got time now. You died a couple of years ago. The fool said in his heart, there's no God. Ray Comfort did a great book, good friend of mine. God doesn't believe in atheists. Do we sell that one in the bookstore? Sandra, do we sell this book? Ask her. Okay. Wayne Strickland used his 73-year dash to turn people away from believing the Bible. What is yours going to say, your tombstone? He spent his time, he spent his whole life playing with a ball. Is that what your tombstone's going to say? You played with a ball. I can understand a 2-year-old doing that, but come on. A 60, 50, 40, 50, 60-year-old? Spend all day playing with a ball? No, he watched other people play with a ball. Oh, that's important. No, he tried to fight Zelda. Yeah, Atheist Junior, we're going to be so proud of you. You spent, 150 hours chasing Zelda. He beat Zelda in a video game. They're going to put that on his tombstone, AJ. That'll be on your tombstone. You beat Zelda. Everybody's going to be so proud of you. Many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, some to shame and everlasting contempt. But they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever. I want to spend my life turning people to God. What are you spending yours on? What on earth are you doing, for heaven's sake? Look, there's a war going on. Get informed, equipped, get involved, learn what the enemy's trying to do and his objective. Find out what to do. Find out what they're doing. Build your strength and your skills. Learn about your weapon. Study the Bible. Study how it works. Study science. It'll lead you right straight to God. If you can't shoot, carry the ammo for those who can. If you can't carry it, then help pay for it. Do something. Take care of the wounded. Can't you see anything that needs done? How many of you parents ever walked into your kid's room that was all messy and they're sitting there and can't see anything that needs to be done? Ever done that before? Oh, yeah. Every day? Yeah, okay. Son, the house is on fire. Would you, go pick up the hose and start squirting? Oh, okay, Dad. Yeah. Don't fight your allies. Keep the focus on the common enemy. Don't fear the enemy's soldiers and don't fear the enemy's weapons. They are pure imagination. There is no evidence for evolution. Simple question. What on earth are you doing? For heaven's sake. We want to help. 855 Big Dino, if you want me to answer any questions, call me. Okay, we got some Q&A questions here, brother. This is going to be great. If you can help us get the internet, $2,700, we can get questions every night. Yeah. Why don't some of you atheists pay for it? You're dying to take over my channel writing all your stupid comments. How many use our channel to get their point across? Start your own channel, pay for our internet, you can question me every night live. I'll answer your question live. What do we got here, brother? Actually, there's a question for Doc. I'm about to buy a house. Do I register it as a house or of worship? Oh, I don't know about that. You decide what you got to do. Yes, ma'am. We don't sell the Ray Comfort book. Okay. Do you worship in it? I don't know. Do whatever you want on that. Was the Grand Canyon formed by the Great Flood? No. I think the Grand Canyon formed 50 years after the flood. After the flood, the crust of the earth is flexing around and finally settling down. Let me get my globe here. The earth is all busted up into plates. There's no question. There's fault lines everywhere. The earth has, I don't know how many plates, a bunch of them. And they were shifting and moving and twisting up and down. After the flood, things settled out. Parts would sink down, other parts lift up. That's why the mountain ranges generally follow the coastlines. We'll cover that on video number 6. Then all the natural depressions would stay full of water. And as it rains, they get more full. And pretty soon, what happens when any lake gets too full? It finds the lowest place, goes over and cuts a notch and drains the lake. Grand Canyon is a washed out dam from Grand Lake. Get Walt Brown's book here. They said this is hard to get in the beginning. Walt Brown, excellent, excellent book. Don't take my book. This is my library. Don't take it out of here. Sit here and read it all you want, okay? But don't take it out. But his book is fabulous on this. Just Google Walt Brown, hydroplate theory. Hydro meaning water. Hydroplate theory. Watch that video that he did. It's excellent. Okay, next question. I'll be going to DAL in 2 weeks. I'm so excited. Well, great. Come on out. Okay. I was supposed to advertise for one of our single guys tonight. Joe, you want to come up here and get on camera, Joe? Come on. This is going to be a challenge, finding a wife for this guy. Okay. Joe's been such a great help. I got him listed in my phone as Peacock Joe. He brought us the Peacock. Grab a chair, brother, and bring it over here. He's been a friend of the ministry for how long? 4 years. You brought us the alpacas, the llamas, a bunch of stuff. And you're
Donkeys,
50
horses,
years old?
halfway to 100.
Halfway to 100, okay. And you live in New Mexico.
Yes, sir.
And if we can find your wife, you'll move here.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yay, okay. And so you want to show them the gold tooth? That attracts the women. There you go. Okay. That'll do it every time.
Never be broke.
How'd you hear about our ministry?
I saw your Where Did God Come From?
Ah, okay.
That's where it first started, and I try to see if I could catch you in a lie, and I still haven't been able to.
Call the atheists. They check every word I say. I mean, they're
Yeah,
desperate. Amen. All right, brother. Thank you so much. Did your mama know you wrote on your arm?
she did it.
Oh, she did it.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother. Okay. I don't know what it is. We attract single guys here. We got a whole bunch, 10 of them? Now, I mentioned that, 2 years ago, and Sandra called, said, I'm calling what you said about the single guys. You want to tell your story, Sandra, some other time? Okay. Anyway, she got one. Yeah, me. Okay. You believe Genesis is literal and scientific because writers of later books of the Bible refer to it as a fact. We'll stop right there, crybaby. That's not why. You're starting off with a false premise. If elephants could fly, stop, they can't fly. There's no sense talking after that. I do believe Genesis is literal. I believe it's scientific. There's been nothing proven wrong. Where on earth is my Bible? Here it is. Okay. Show me something wrong instead of crying about it. The Bible says they're made in 6 days. Everything. That's the only way symbiotic relationships would work. You want plants evolving before there's animals to pollinate them? Which evolved first, the male or the female? I mean, how many different kinds of animals are there? Over 8,000? And all of them had to evolve, male and female, at the same time in the same place. And got to find each other and be interested. There's a bunch of problems you guys got. So no, that's not why. You're starting off with a false premise. I do believe it's literal. I believe it is scientifically accurate, but it's not because somebody else referred to it. I think they referred to it because they also knew it was accurate. Don't people mistake folklore for fact all the time? That's what they're doing with evolution, crybaby. Evolution is folklore. It's not science. Nobody's ever seen a cow produce a non-cow. Never. If you was to believe it happened long ago, that's folklore. Go ahead, crybaby. Keep crying. What's another one here? I like these questions. I worked at Grand Canyon and hiked it often, saw the fossils. However, I believed it was millions of years old. Well, Jim, change your mind.
You said never.
Oh, never? Never believed it. Okay. It's a washed out dam. See, once water starts moving, it picks up sand and gravel and becomes liquid sandpaper. Google dam break at Dinosaur Adventureland. Watch ours. Ours carved it in 7 minutes. You can just go on the internet and search YouTube for dams breaking. Watch how fast erosion can take place. What was that one we watched last night, Sandra? Was that in China? They opened up a dam and the slush and mud came out. It was unreal. What it can carve through solid rock. It's liquid sandpaper. Okay. YouTube shorts are the way to go. Easy way to boost viewers. If we did shorts, we could do a bunch of shorts just on my jokes. My students, every day I'd tell a new joke in class. They loved it. Okay. All right, that's it. Thank you so much. Tomorrow night is comments on comments, which I'm not ready for, but I'll work on that tonight. Sandra, how many hours do I spend working on these things? Usually 2 or 3 in the morning. Oh, wild idea. I'll get up and go work for 2 hours on my computer. I used to say nobody calls me at that time, but I get calls then too. I shouldn't have announced I'm up at 2 o'clock. Okay, see you tomorrow. Bye.